This is All Indiana Sports. All right, it was announced. T.Y. Hilton has officially now retired from the NFL. How does that make you feel as someone who grew up on T.Y. Hilton?
It was very fun to watch him play. I'm very sad that he's retired and he won't be playing anymore, but it was probably about time. He had a great career with one of the best Colts quarterbacks of all time, and Andrew Luck. I think we could confidently say that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
One of the biggest what if stories in football, let alone maybe sports.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a joy getting to watch Ty in person and on TV growing up.
How does that make you feel age-wise?
Well, I started watching football towards the beginning of his career. So I'm starting to feel old. There was some stuff said recently, and I was like, man, that was years ago. It feels like it was yesterday, but it wasn't.
Don't worry. There will be more of those days to come.
Yeah.
But I'm Kevin. This is my son, Liam. We are so excited to present to you the All Indiana Sports Podcast.
Welcome back. This episode will update you on where the Colts are 2 weeks into free agency and give you our thoughts on the biggest losses and pickups, whether the team is better or worse than they were before the league year started on March 11th as we go all in.
Yes, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at All Indiana Sports, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. It is the All Indiana Sports Podcast. So
This is true.
we jump into Colt stuff. Butler, okay? Butler hired their Thad Matta, who was their coach a while ago. They've had a few people in between there and a run to the Final Four and the national championship in there with Brad Stevens. Mm-hmm. But then Thad Matta came back and he just retired. So they had a coach opening. Not quite like the North Carolina opening that just opened yesterday.
Yeah.
Firing Hubert Davis. But Butler didn't waste any time. Butler's not one of those schools that goes looking all over the country for the next big thing or getting a big coach. They're pretty, they like their people. So they got Ronald Norred, the point guard of those runs that Brad Stevens had, as their new coach.
That's
and he's
fun.
a lot, as is the trend. He's a young guy, 36. So you would think as long as he can have some semblance of success, Butler's bar is not set quite as high as some of the other programs, but they have been there. They have seen that success. 36, he could have a long, steady career at
Very
Butler,
true.
and they
Very
may
true.
not be looking for quite some time. But
Yeah.
another Indiana team, the only Indiana team left playing basketball right now is Purdue. And I wanted to get your take. I know you are not a fan. I, of course, am split because of my youth and my grown years. But your take from an external, I guess, perspective, Purdue, what they've been able to do, and their chances heading into what seems like a maybe pretty potentially easy run to the Final Four, which is in Indianapolis this year. Mm-hmm. They have to go against Texas and then the winner of Arizona and...
Is it Arkansas?
Arkansas, yes. So easy is maybe just the first game. But your take?
My take on if they can make it?
Well, just the chances and what they've been able to do this season. They've got 3 guys who are seniors who started their career with Purdue and have continued even in this NIL and portal world.
I honestly think the person in that specific side of the bracket, that fourth of the bracket, is going to come out. It's either going to be Arkansas or Arizona. Whoever wins that game is going to come out.
Okay.
I honestly don't know if Purdue's going to make it past this next game, seeing as they kind of struggled a little bit against Kentucky. Now, Kentucky is traditionally a good basketball school, so they can always show up, but they were a 7 seed. You're
Yep.
expected to play. And then you also have someone who probably tore their ACL in a big part of that roster as well. So I don't know if they can get past Texas because Texas looks really good right now. If they do, either Arizona or Arkansas, whoever wins that, I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas makes it out of there because they're looking really good. But
Yeah.
whoever wins that, I think is going to be either Texas or Purdue. So
Understand, as I mentioned, I must compliment them simply because in this world where, you're getting a lot of one and dones, especially if you are a blue blood type of program. And then if you're not, you're getting players through the portal. You're having people leave because they're not starting. They can make more money. To have Trey Kaufman Wren and Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith be a part of your program under Matt Painter for this amount of time is absolutely outstanding and incredible and speaks volumes, I think, to Matt Painter, the culture that he's been able to build. I've heard Matt Painter, talk about how he was an Indiana guy. And Purdue came calling, and he said, "Yeah, there's no way." And he was talked to by his dad, saying, "This is an opportunity for your future." And he made his decision to play at Purdue because of Gene Katie and the coaching that he would do, and how Gene Katie sat him down and said, "You're here to work. You are here to do good in school, and you are here to work. If you're selecting not to be a part of our summer program, you need to be getting a job. I need to be approving that job. You need to be getting up no later than 7 o'clock every morning, and you need to work because that's what this is. That's the type of players and people that we build here." And so at that point, Painter was like, "I'm not going there." And his dad said, "No, no, no. That's exactly why you are going there."
yeah,
And that has continued on to Matt Painter as the coach. So I have to give them at least credit for that. But we are here to talk about the Colts and what they've done in the first 2 weeks of free agency. So we know about the big re-signings, which are
Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce are the two big ones. Blake Grupe.
you made the mistake that everybody else makes, Alex. It's not Alex, it's Alec. Yes.
Yeah. Blake Grupe was also a bigger signing. And then another one, Drew Ogletree was another signing that the Colts had.
Yep. They brought back Laquan Treadwell, veteran receiver who didn't make it onto the active roster a ton, but I've heard a lot about the locker room kind of steadiness that he provided as a veteran, former first-round pick. Mo Alley Cox they re-signed. We were not a fan of this last season, even before the draft, thinking that they were going to have Tyler Warren, but I think he's actually a great combo. I think he's a great combo. You see all the things that Tyler Warren can do, and Mo Alley Cox can be a steady force. He doesn't have to catch it, but man, when he has the opportunity, he'll take it and do really well. So that's two tight ends. And then they finished off with offensive tackle Luke Tenuta, who would be the, as it is right now, maybe the starting right tackle. And then Cameron Mitchell is back. I believe he was the undrafted free agent that I thought that the Colts were going to pick and keep last year, if I'm correct, if my memory serves. So those are the re-signings. Who did they add?
They added a lot of people. Arden Key was one of them. Colby Wooden, Michael Clemens, and Derek Noddy, all defensive linemen, 2D tackles, 2D ends.
And then they got a couple safeties. Juanye Thomas and Jonathan Owens, who, like Travis Kelce, may be better known for his better half because Jonathan Owens is married to Simone Biles, the winningest gymnast of all time in the Olympics. They also picked up wide receiver Nick Westbrook Akine, who was with the Dolphins last year, but had kind of been a Colts killer for the Titans 2 seasons ago. He caught, I think it was 9 total touchdowns on 37 catches. So he just caught touchdowns. And then a couple reunitings with Lou Anarumo, Cam Taylor-Britt, and Akeem Davis-Gaither, both spent their time with Lou and his time with Cincinnati Bengals.
They also, to round it off, they got D-tackle Jerry Tillery, and they also got tight end Carson Todd, but he also played power forward. So
Yes.
2 former basketball players
Yep.
as tight ends
Right.
on the Colts roster.
Yes.
That's gotta be like some weird stat, like most former basketball players on this team or something like that. Because no, never mind. That's someone else. Never mind.
And tight end is the position that tends to be the converted position.
Yeah.
Even though it's so funny to me because
especially for the bigger guys.
Yeah, it is so funny to me because I've always said that the tight end is the last real football player left in football, and yet this position is being stocked by former basketball players.
Yeah.
The reason I say it's that position is because they do everything from catch it to block. They're involved in every aspect from the line to, they could be in line, on the line, all the way to clear out, lined up in the backfield. Like Tyler Warren, they could be anywhere. Just Tyler Warren maybe does it better than anybody else. But time will only tell on that. Then they lost some people or traded some people away as
well. First 4 that we got, Zaire Franklin was traded to the Packers.
Yep.
Braden Smith got signed by Houston. Pittman got signed by...
Traded.
Traded by Pittsburgh. And Kwity Paye got signed by Vegas.
Yep. And that was before the whole Max Crosby, when they thought they were getting rid of Max Crosby. And now Kwity gets to play opposite him. They also lost our saddest pick, I think, but we'll discuss in a second. Nick Cross went back to Washington. He's from D.C. area. And then Samson Ebukam landed in Atlanta off free agency. And Rodney Thomas got an upgrade, I believe, getting picked up by the Seahawks, the defending champions. And then Neville Gallimore just went up the road to play with the Bears in Chicago.
Yes, who may not
also
be
a potential
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. We kind of discussed this.
The rumors, and even though their lease, I think, goes through 31, so it's still, even if it happens, it won't happen right away.
Yeah.
But there have been a few people asking if we're going to cover the new Indiana Bears, and I haven't quite decided where we would head with that.
I mean, we all Indiana sports, so
right?
Even if we don't necessarily cover them, we'll still talk about them, like we did with Purdue. So
right, occasionally maybe the best answer there.
Yeah.
But the real answer is I don't know. We'll see. In your thought process, then, as you look at this, who are some of the biggest losses within the Colts roster here?
I got 2. I got only 2 of them. Nick Cross is the obvious one, and another one is Braden Smith. We haven't filled in that spot yet. I think Braden, especially for as cheap as Houston signed him and Washington signed Nick, I think it was worth going out and getting both of them, because now you have this cap space. That's just there.
Incidentally, just to update, they are currently 12th in the NFL of cap space. It's around $26 million left, and that's plenty to sign a whole rookie class and anyone else.
Exactly. You have enough to go out and get someone. There were questionable things, calls that Ballard made. I feel like, he likes his trenches, But why do we need to sign that many ends and tackles? We didn't lose that many if you think about it. And you got no offensive linemen at all. So I'm just confused on what his whole thought process. Does this mean we're signing a ton of offensive linemen in a draft and using them as rookies? I don't know. I don't know whatever Ballard is doing, but those two are my biggest losses.
I am thinking my biggest loss, of course, Nick Cross. He was my number 2, right? Alec Pierce, Nick Cross. Those were the 2 that I said must be signed. So obviously that's, especially when you think of, as you mentioned, the amount of money he went on, a $7 million per year, 2-year deal, $14 million. You have do it. What? Why did you let him go? The only issue may have been he just wanted to go back home. Braden Smith was one of my I'm okay with if he leaves kind of guys. I think Franklin and Pittman were a definite must go. As we've mentioned, the other one that I have is Kwity Paye. I think that no end that you sign. You talked about the overabundance of defensive linemen. No end that you signed is close to Kwity Paye.
No.
I wouldn't say that any combination of any 2 of the ends comes that close. Now, you could say Arden Key is right in that area, but Arden Key, I think, is on the downward slide of his career. And so I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say you filled anything of that Kwity could do with anyone else. And so that means you're left thinking JT Tuimoloau can do that, or you're going to draft a guy that can do that, or you just think that everything you have is Laiatu Latu, because that's how the NFL goes. Do you know the end that plays opposite Max Crosby? You do now because it's Kwity Paye. But do you know the end that played opposite Trey Hendrickson?
No clue.
Do you know who plays opposite Trey Hendrickson now?
No clue.
Do you know the end that plays opposite Micah Parsons?
No, I thought I did. No.
Nope. See, this is how it goes. You have one guy, and the Colts may be betting that Laiatu Latu is that guy. You saw improvement year 1 to year 2. Year 1 to year 2 was in a different system, so there's going to be kind of a learning curve there. But you saw massive improvement and rep usage as well. So I think the thinking probably that Laiatu Latu is the guy, and that way that's why you could let him go. I think the case?
He definitely can be the guy as well.
He can be.
He has the potential.
Obviously, you're betting on not only Laiatu, you're also betting on Lua Anarumo. Mm-hmm. But with that said, who are your biggest additions here?
And these are not re-signings; these are additions.
Yes,
I'm gonna go to again the spouse of Simone Biles, as you mentioned. I think Jonathan Owens is a really good pickup. Don't know if he can fill in that Nick Cross. I believe he plays free safety, so he'll be with Cam Bynum, probably his backup. And then another one.
I think he's a little bit of a blend, so it might and that might have been the thinking that Nick Cross is really good, strong safety, and he was kind of in that. And Lou likes to play that multiple, and so maybe he needed somebody a little bit more flexible.
Yeah. And then my other one is the reuniting with Lou. Cam Taylor-Britt. I really like that. I don't know exactly what's going on with Joe Bocci or Jermaine Pratt. I don't know exactly. I think you need to sign one of them. Your linebacker and your safety group is so thin, you need to sign someone for the linebackers. I think you sign Pratt, in all honesty. I think Bocci's great, but I think Pratt fits in the system a little bit better. Also, he had time to play with the guys. Bocci did not because he was injured. But I really like the signing of Cam Taylor-Britt. I think he's a pretty solid corner, and he's played with Lou before. So that's always nice.
I will piggyback off your Lou and say, thank goodness that they got a linebacker, because it was looking really thin. Mm-hmm. Like really super thin there for a little bit. And the reuniting, the understanding of the system, the linebacker is going to play a very key role in a lot of that and the communication of that. And so, as we saw with Bocce, who did so well with that in his little bit of time there early in the season, Akeem Davis Gaither gives a security blanket to Lou Anarumo, but also Akeem can come in and make an immediate impact because he knows the system, because he does that. Like, it's funny to see Joe Bocce get brought in and teach the guys who had been with the Colts forever the system because he knew it better because he was with Lou. He could have that same kind of cohesiveness with Davis Gaither there. But the only of these that made my eyebrows go up and go, ooh, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
Yep.
Now,
we kind of talked about that. I understand you call him a touchdown machine. That was a couple of years ago. I think you needed an actual wide receiver. Because I love what Pierce does, but I'm okay with Pierce just being the deep threat guy. I'm okay with him not having to do everything. I don't want us to feel like I like whenever the Colts can spread the ball and everybody have 50 yards rather than one person having over 100, which Pierce can do on 3 catches.
Right.
But we need a guy who on any given day can go 6 catches, 6 to 8 catches for 120 to 150 yards. Meaning some of those are going to be short intermediate stuff and not only long passes. Now, I know we have downs, but I like being able to spread the ball. I think you needed someone who's not a touchdown machine because you have downs because Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, most of his touchdowns came from once you were already on their side of the field and also inside their own 30. So, and that's kind of what downs does already. And I think Tyler Warren can do that as well. Pierce obviously has the deep ball. So I think you need someone more to that short to medium range because Downs is that short. Warren is your tight end, so that don't really count.
Yeah.
And then Pierce is your deep. So you need someone for that short, medium range. And I guess Nick Westbrook-Ikhine can do it, but I don't know. I need to see something. I don't know if there's going to be a remake of Pierce where I dog on him and then something crazy happens. I would love that. But as far as I know so far, I'm not liking the pickup.
All right. So let me back up. Last year, he was with the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. And so that means that he's automatically at least 3rd on the depth chart. Yeah. Right? And I believe that the Dolphins had at least one other receiver that was really good besides Tyreek and Waddle. Mm-hmm. Now, Tyreek didn't get injured till like the last, I think, 3rd of the season, something like that.
It was later on.
So, majority of the season, Westbrook-Ikhine is 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th at times on the depth chart. So you're not seeing a ton of targets. You're not seeing a ton of reps with your starting quarterback.
Right.
In practice, all those kinds of things. So that explains the lack of production in last year with the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. Go back to the Titans. His quarterback was Will Levis and Malik Willis. Is that right? No, Malik Willis would have been 2 years prior, but he's still. The quarterback situation in Tennessee has been in upheaval, much like the Colts, and so he's he was able to be himself and catch the ball from anybody, a la Michael Pittman Jr., except Westbrook-Ikhine is younger and more productive in recent memory than Michael Pittman Jr. and cheaper than Michael Pittman Jr. So, so plus this is, you think about fitting inside the Colts system. They as you mentioned, they have, instead of having a Swiss Army knife, they have a knife collection, right? Mm-hmm. They have a steak knife. They have a butter knife. They have different things for different purposes, right? Josh Downs is going to keep the chains moving. That's why we call him Josh First Downs.
Yes.
Alec Pierce is going to take the top off the defense and either get a pass interference call or at least get cleared out and make you be honest for your running back to have space or whoever else. And then you had Michael Pittman Jr., who could catch over the middle, catch on the outside. He was a possession receiver, right? He can be an outlet that is a little bit faster, a little bit different than a tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook Akine can do the pit roll, but he can also deal a little bit of the Pierce role as well. And so I think he becomes a little bit better, younger, more affordable, and a little bit more versatile option than Michael Pittman Jr. Maybe not quite as tough, and that was always like the thing that everybody came back to with Pittman is, oh, he's so tough. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
he played with a fractured back. I mean, that's amazing. But if you cannot be productive, then
Tyler Lockett also wasn't super, super tough, but he was very successful in the league for a while. Same thing with Golden Tate, for example. I'll pull that one out. It's been a bit since he played in the league. But he wasn't.
You bring up two players from the same organization.
Mm-hmm. But he wasn't the toughest either. But he still was able to get the job done and stuff like that. So you don't have to be tough necessarily to play in. I mean, you have to be tough in a certain aspect, but I don't know if the Colts necessarily need a tough guy. So
yeah, they got Tyler Warren for that. So then that leads us to the last question here. Are the Colts better or worse because of free agency and the additions and subtractions at this point without the draft?
I hate to say it, I think they're worse. I think the Colts had a real shot at the Super Bowl last year if they weren't so injured. I think injuries were really the story of last season, if you had to put it into one word. I don't think they re-signed the people they should have. I don't think they I think you had a very good shot of winning this offseason by only re-signing like key people such as Jones, Pierce, Smith, Cross. That's all you had to re-sign. And then you can go out and get everybody else. Go out, do the cheaper things like you did already. And then I think also you go out. I think you get Trey Hendrickson and you have a Super Bowl winning team again. Honestly, I could have done without Daniel Jones. I would have, if I was the GM right now, I would not have gotten Daniel Jones and I would have gotten Kyler Murray. That's how I would fix this Colts team. I think they're worse now than they were then. Obviously, all of this is hindsight. Can't do anything about it now. I don't think this is a Super Bowl winning team. You have the defense to do it. I don't think you have the offense.
I agree. I think that I'll sound like a broken record. You spent too much time worrying about the top two guys, and you lost everybody else in the crossfire that you needed to bring back, and you're left trying to clean up the pieces. I don't even think they have the defense to do it because, as mentioned, linebacker is a huge question mark, and even the pass rush now is question mark as well. And so I don't know. The good news is for Colts fans, you don't win anything in March because nobody's on the field in March. And so there can be a lot of talk about ranking and who did the best in free agency, but nobody knows anything until you get on the field in September. And even then, it's really about November and December. And so, unfortunately, the Colts didn't win anything in November and December.
Nope.
However great September and October were, didn't win it when it counted, and that's what needs to happen. And so, once again, we would make different calls. Maybe you would have made different calls, but we're not in charge, although we've made that offer.
Yes,
but
we sure have.
We will continue to do that until we get offered or it gets fixed in some way. So, but that's all the time we've got for today. We'll be back tomorrow with our Keep the Pace episode as we look at the next collection of games from the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, well, this is Liam.
And this is Kevin.
Reminding you to stay all Indiana sports.
This is All Indiana.